Hello and welcome to Oweleketv on this beautiful Friday morning. My name is Ramsey Enoch. We are reaching you live and direct from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria. This is Outnumbered. And today we want to bring you to speed with the headlines for today. Joining me is Michael Ekenedilichuku and of course, Bright Imafidon. Good morning, Bright. Good morning, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Good morning, Mr. Ramsey. Good morning, Bright.
From the nation's newspaper this morning, ex-minister on 33.8 billion naira fraud trial collapses outside courtroom. Details read on page 5 of the nation's newspaper. Then this one says, a court uphold Ododo's election as Kogi governor. All right. Appeal court, I beg your pardon, upholds Ododo's election as Kogi governor. Details read on page 6. Then this one says, government oil producers agree on crude supply to local refineries. Details read on page 7. The big story says, governors lose financial control over local government, the autonomy. In fact, as soon as that judgment came up yesterday, someone quickly ran to me and said, hey, breaking news. And what's that? What's happening? And my colleague said, well, the autonomy has been granted. And there was some form of jubilation. And I was wondering, I was beginning to think about it. Why the jubilation? Why are people happy? Even though they are not at the grassroots, a lot of people are not back home. They are in the city, but so happy that this autonomy is being granted. All right, some riders to that story. Supreme Court orders direct payment of council's allocation. No funding for councils without elected officials. Meaning, if you are a caretaker committee chairman, it's not acceptable. So, you know, these people actually appoint caretaker chairman, picking people that are loyal to them. You understand? But the court is saying no funding for councils without elected officials. Meaning you must be duly voted for, elected into the office by the people before you can be funded.
We spoke about how these governors use these caretaker committees as errand boys.
Errand boys.
And then you have to pay homage. And so wherever it's supposed to go to local government has always been bypassed. So kudos to the federal government for that.
Well, no more sharing. The sharing formula has been destabilized. The last writer to that story say 479 out of 774 councils lose access to federation account cash. Wow, this is worth reading. If you want to get the details of that, just pick a copy of the nation's newspaper and go through it. Many other headlines, but I won't be taking it anymore because of our time. But I want to take this one. Finally, Tinubu, it's a kicker. I am committed to a just and realistic wage. One writer to that story talks with labor leaders to reconvene next week. Details read on page 27. What happened? Someone was telling me, he said, well, what happened was actually more like a dialogue, not a negotiation per se. It's just like father-son discussion. And then next week, let's see what is actually going to come out. And someone made a statement and say, oh, come on, what's this all about? They should just conclude this thing once and for all. And someone responded. I'm always using someone because these were discussions that people have heard before now. Someone said, well, the 250,000 naira is unrealistic. Someone said it. But then, is it really unrealistic? Over to you, Michael, for the next paper.
Thank you, Ramsey. We'll move straight to the Vanguard newspaper today. Above the header, the interesting story on page 19. Dangote refinery is the kicker. Federal government and producers agreed to supply crude and has enhanced domestic refining. That's a good news. They finally agreed to supply crude to Dangote refinery. And that's an interesting story on page 19. Away from that, Edo 2024, Baseke inaugurates 20-man transition committee. Details on page 7. Inflation, we are suffering for ways and means loans. Cardoso, that is on page 20 of the Vanguard. Away from that, the big story, the kicker says executive order, drug maker, see clear timeline, stable naira for 70% production. Details on page 8. And then we have about 2 riders to the story. Maintain no implementation hampering Coys placing order on importation of raw materials and others. The next rider says unless Naira value was fixed, local drug manufacturing a mirage. Make sure you read the story. Supreme Court verdict on local government autonomy. We've taken judgment in good faith. That is coming from the governors, Governor Soludo, and also he's saying that on page 5. We've taken judgment in good faith. That means something was happening behind the scene.
So many things happen behind the scene that we don't know.
All right, the last story I take on the Vanguard today, interestingly, alleged 33 billion naira fraud. That's the kicker. Ex-power minister Maman slumps in court before trial. Details on page 6. We pray he recuperates because he's slumped in court.
He was begging that they should give him time that he was going to pay back.
He's slumping. He's trying to
now he has slumped.
He's trying to play the
Someone
the
was
antics.
answering, was it at the Senate? And he slumped. This slumping.
You remember the last one died?
Yeah, one died.
Yes, died.
One died.
Custom,
that one they were trying to recuperate.
Is it that most of these people have health challenges before they appoint them, or
my brother,
you don't choke them. What they
see?
swallow?
Let's call spade a spade. The big man self not easy. To be big man self not easy.
Yes.
Yeah, you just find out and see. You sleep with your 2 eyes closed. They don't.
I'm a big man, but I'm sleeping.
You're a big man. No. Your kind of big man should be sleeping with 3 eyes even closed, not just 2.
All right, and then the last interesting stories are sports on page 29. Super Falcons camp swells as Kano Ihezuo arrived. I love that. That's why I took it again, even though I wasn't supposed to. But I love sports.
No, it's good. If you don't love sport, what are you living for?
Do you like betting? All right, that is interesting story we have on the Vanguard today. Do well to pick a copy of the paper Friday to enjoy your weekend. Over to you, Bright.
All right, thank you, Michael. With me today, I have the Guardian newspaper with me. The first story here we have is arrested vessels cost Navy 10,000 daily for maintenance. Arrested vessels cost Navy $10,000 in maintenance. You understand? When you arrest,
so who is going to pay?
I think Navy is going to be servicing those things until
the owner. What if it's been forfeited?
How would you service it? If it's confiscated, keep it there till when the owner comes.
No. Those vessels are actually very expensive. So
they are very expensive.
You can't just leave them.
Are they Nigerian vessels or illegal vessels?
Maybe they want to confiscate.
No matter what it is, leaving it maybe on the high sea or wherever it is, or maybe in the water wherever it is, and not being maintained.
You see what the customs do? They auction things out. They don't buy it.
No, maybe this. It might be an international ship, and maybe there are some things that you will do that will contravene the law.
Maybe they're also going through the legal process.
They need to maintain it, okay, so that when they are coming to pick it up, it will be in good shape the way they left it.
Otherwise, I try to lose for them.
Don't use our money. We need this money.
That's what I was trying to say. Which money are they using to service it?
All right. Another story we have here is Cardoso links inflation to failed 10 trillion intervention funds. CBN is gotten from CBN overdrafts. Another story we have here is Nigerians' confidence in anti-graft war dwindling. Another story we also have here is Tinubu Labour leaders parley inconclusive to continue next week. Like you read the other time that Tinubu and the Labour leaders met and their meeting ended in a deadlock. Not a deadlock per se, but they arrived at conclusion, which the Labour leaders have decided to go back to the drawing board to see how they can consider the government in their plans. Because Tinubu complained to them that this request is actually unrealistic, that they should come down a little bit.
So the 250,000.
Yes, they are saying they are going back to the drawing board to see what they can do.
And next week, let's just wait.
So the big story here today is that why local governments have not escaped powerful claps of governors. That's the big story we have here today. That is quite an interesting one.
Please pick a copy. I would love to see that.
Try and pick a copy of this.
So what is it? What could that be? Could that be?
Let our audience pick a copy of this Guardian paper this morning to get the full gist on this topic. So I think that's all I have for Guardian this morning. Ramsey, what to you?
All right, thank you. The papers this morning is so interesting, and this is what will make you feel every day, especially when the weekend is just around. We're not being motivated by the weekend. Don't say it's because it's weekend. We are always in high spirit, okay? But then we don't have weekends even because we are always up and doing to keep you informed. All right, to the Punch newspaper, which is going to be the last. Federal government IOCs agreed on crude supply to Dangote local refineries. I take that again. Federal government IOCs agree on crude supply to Dangote local refineries. And this one says public officials received 721 billion naira bribe in 2023. NBS is the one saying this. This is NBS report. Who are those public officials? Let's know them. They should be, see, it doesn't matter, okay, whether they will be taken to court and they will slump or whatever. Whoever those public officials are, they should be brought to book. And of course, let's look at this one, which is the big story. The kicker says local government funds. Federal government floors governors as Supreme Court outlaws caretaker escorts. Joint accounts. Details read on page 2. Just to write to that story, preventing democratically elected administration in local government unconstitutional, coming from the Supreme Court. Then the second writer says Tinubu NLC Nolge orders hail judgment. Ex-Ogun local government chair louds president. I think Tinubu is beginning to receive some form of applause. Well, we say it often here that it's not like the president is not trying his best, but the way some of the initial policies is eating into the fabric of the economy and making the people hungry. You know, when people are hungry, some persons barely think well when they are hungry, because a hungry man is an angry man. And a lot of people have concluded that this administration is not doing anything because of the hunger. But as it is right now, let's just see what all of this will bring to the table at the end of the day. Well, this is going to be the size of the headlines for now. We just want you to pick a copy of any of these papers that interest you, go through it, and of course just let us know what the stories are saying at the comment section. Quickly, we are going on a quick break, and when we return from this break, we'll bring you the big story for this morning. The big story actually is really big, and of course we want to talk about the fact that governors may be stranded. Okay, I'm not saying they are going to be stranded, but then they may be stranded. More so that they said, if you're a caretaker chairman, no funding for you. We'll talk more about that when we return from the break.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleket.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still outnumbered live on your screen on this beautiful day. Well, we said on return, we were going to talk about what actually happened yesterday as governors lose financial control over local government. Well, so interesting. This morning, it's been said that caretaker chairmen may not be getting fundings because they were not elected democratically. They were not voted into office. And you know what happens before now? Well, yesterday, the governors were somehow on a very, very, very hot seat. Let me tell you the reason why. Yesterday, Labour and the presidency were supposed to meet and remember the minimum wage that governors have been saying every state should pay according to what they can afford. That one puts them on one hot seat. Then the case about local government autonomy was supposed to be decided yesterday. So these two cases were actually making governors sit on a very, very, very hot seat yesterday. But then the ruling came and they said, well, local government have been given the autonomy. Funding goes straight to the local government chairman. And now the governors may not have too much to say as far as that is concerned. I was speaking with a local government chairman yesterday, and he said something. He said, well, it is a good one. It has been said, but then we pray it's been implemented, because it's something, because in this part of the world, as it is right now, sometimes the court will say something and the people will do a different thing. Remember what happened in Kano State during the ruling about the emirship, and the state government said, well, no matter what the court does, Sanusi is our own emir. It doesn't matter what the court is saying. So now it's been said, but then the implementation. How soon do you see this thing being implemented? You know, this is Nigeria.
Actually, it has been passed into law already.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it has been implemented already. So it's going to take it's going to start from the end of this month, according to reports that was made yesterday that from this month ending, states that do not have elected local government chairmen will not receive allocations meant for the local
They'll
government.
They'll rush and go and do election.
So all states now are expected to quickly and instantly make provisions for their local government chairmen to make a provision for elections to elect local government chairmen. You understand? And why this is so interesting is because the law that guides the local government chairman does not have immunity. That is why it's so beautiful. Let me tell you about it. Now, this is how it works. When the federal government gives money to the state government before, you understand, the state government has immunity. So when they misuse funds and everything, you have to
nobody checkmates them.
Nobody have to wait till after they are gone out of office.
Out of office.
Before you can now say, okay, we're going after them. You want to be asking questions, which might be too late. They might have covered a lot of their tracks, which you might not be able to track them. But now, important. Why this is so beautiful is that the local government chairmen do not have immunity.
Wow.
You understand? So
I know a lot of you don't know this. A lot of you don't know this.
When the federal government gives the state government the local government money directly now, because it's going to be direct from federal government to local government straight. No middleman anymore. When the federal government releases money for the states, they're going to be releasing for the local government. So when the federal government releases money for local governments, there's not going to be any middleman. So if you're a figurehead now as a local government chairman and you want to go and give your state governor kickback, that's, oh, you put me there, sir, thank you, take your own cut. When EFCC is coming after you the next morning, because they're not going to wait for you. When they watch and they say, this person, we give him this amount we gave him last month. We are not seeing the money. You go and ask immediately. They're not waiting for tenure to elapse.
Wow. So, in other words, what you're saying now is that the people at the grassroots now have more power to probe whatever it is their chairman, their councillors are doing.
They are not waiting for after 10 anymore.
This is beautiful.
They are answerable immediately. That's those people that are figureheads that they have godfathers that put them there. Any money that they give to you, you account for it 100%. If you go and tell them that, oh, I remitted this one back to the state government, it's not the state government that they gave money, it's you that they gave money. You go and answer to the state government.
Let's get.
It's very beautiful. So now I think there's more accountability now in the system.
Yeah, that's
this is the beauty of democracy. I want to especially appreciate the federal government for taking this up upon this, because for years now we have been clamoring for autonomy for the local government.
Yeah.
But this government came in, and the first thing he did was to make sure he started with this case by taking the 36 state governors to court, which no government has been able to do. Before Buhari left, we heard when he was talking about it. I think a year close to the time he was going to leave office, he mentioned about local government give state governors to give local government autonomy. I don't know if you remember that story.
Yeah, I do remember.
When Buhari was actually disturbing the state government, but he wasn't taking any action.
All right, hold your thought for a minute. Let me get to Michael. Michael, do you see this as a positive development? Because as it is right now, when we talk about corruption,
looking at me as if I'm the federal government. Look at me well.
So as it is right now, one of the things that has actually bedeviled the system is corruption. Do you see this, as a cover-up for corruption, or it's going to open up more doors for corruption at the grassroots? Like Bright said, the local government chairman can now, be checkmate. The activities can be checked and they can be held accountable for whatever they do. But you know how this system works. The manipulations, and our people, they know, how they shut people's mouth up, politicians, how they do it. So what do you think about this autonomy?
It's a welcome development from the federal government. So, in support to what Bright has said, and also it's also a very splendid job done by Justice Emmanuel Agim. It was a 7-man panel committee, but headed by Justice Emmanuel Agim. Yesterday, I was particularly following that story because when it broke, I was very ecstatic because it's been clamored for over the years. We've clamored for this to be a means, a catalyst to tremendous implementation of these policies in local government. Remember, local government are the third tier of the government. The APS court affirmed that we have state and federal government, but local government are very closest to the grassroots. So the issues that affects the common man is from the local government. And now, remember, there's been a preponderance of seizure, confiscation of funds from state governments. They've had that, like he mentioned, immunity mindset that makes them seize funds of democratically elected chairpersons and chairmen or local government councillors seize their funds, replace them, and then place your care.
Yeah, if you don't want to dance to the tune of them, they remove you.
They just sack you. I mean, it's atrocious. It's weakening because they were democratically elected local government chairpersons and councillors. You replace them and place your own caretaker. That's weakening the caretaker committees that like he said, that pays dues to you.
But now local government caretakers will not be accepting funds. They will not be getting funds.
Now the autonomy means that local government has that direct allocation from the federal government. So now they owe us accountability and efficiency. Remember, they have to work right now. They have no excuse to say
that's
rules
it.
are deployable.
I think more development coming to the local government councils.
So that's what we want to see. We want them to say, since the federal government is paying this thing direct to our account, to us, we are now accountable, and we will prove to the federal government that, hey, what you handed over to me will not be misused.
All right.
Let it not be that they'll be blaming the state government, and right now that they have funds going to them directly, they start to misappropriate it.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, for that. Thank you, Bright, for that insightful analysis. Well, this is going to be the size, but then this is high time for the local government chairman to prove the governors wrong. Now you can tell why your local government is not developed, why things are not working very well. Let's begin to see the social amenities, all right, are coming to play. Let's begin to see the hospitals, the road, the schools, build good market square, beautiful roads in the local government councils. Do things so that at least people, the federal government will know that this decision is not a regrettable one. Prove the governors wrong this time so that at least you can now stand tall to say, well, this is what I did during my tenure, and you can be revoted for, as the case may be. But then I think it's so unfortunate, and I should be saying hard luck to those who are caretaker chairmen and chairpersons, because
who elected them?
Who elected? They were not duly elected. So if the governors don't do anything,
with this, I'm sorry, but with this now, I begin to imagine what Rivers State is going through right now. The state governor, after appointing caretakers everywhere,
it was among
those
that said we'll see. Well, we'll see. Well,
I think what he's going to do, what Fubara is going to do. What Fubara is going to do is that, but then there's going to be election.
Yeah.
They need to, but you know how elections are being done in Nigeria. Well,
especially in Rivers.
Especially in Rivers. All right, that is going to be the size of the big story on Outnumbered today. And of course, want to say have a wonderful weekend. Please, as you go out, make sure you don't overspend beyond what you have. And then your association determine your acceleration. Know the kind of people you mix up with in this time. Well, I want to call it in this very, very trickish time. Okay, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and do have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye for now.